Frau Perchta. She is one of the goddesses from the Southern Germanic or the Alpine pagan traditions. You'll hear a lot about her in Germany or in Austria, but she's not really well known here, but she really should be. We know a lot about Krampus, and we know even about the Yule Cat. We know so many Christmas monster deities, but for some reason, Perchta seems to have flown under the radar. But today, we are going to be talking about a very spooky and horrible Christmas creature that is very similar to Santa Claus. How exciting! Now, Perchta, she was once known as kind of this goddess in the region of the Alps. Her name might mean the bright one. Perchta had a lot of different names depending on kind of the era or region that you're talking about. Jacob Grimm from the Brothers Grimm said that she might have been connected or even was the goddess Hulda, which we actually did last year during Christmas. This is because both of these deities were known for overseeing crafts like spinning and weaving, and they always appeared during the 12 days of Christmas. Also, Hulda and Perchta were guardians of beasts at one point. And this is possibly because both of these deities might have conflated, they might be the same person, and they might have been involved in the wild hunt, which we see in a lot of Norse and European mythology. So the wild hunt is like this motif that occurs in a lot of Northern European cultures, and that usually involves, let's think of The Witcher 3 here. It's a chase that's led by this mythological figure, which in this case could be Perchta, and is escorted by a bunch of supernatural hunters, ghosts, that are in this pursuit of somebody. And the leader of the hunt usually is associated with things like Perchta, but also like Odin. And there's a lot of different characters that have had a quote wild hunt in folklore and mythology. So Perchta might have actually been one of those deities. All right, so Perchta, she might have been a leader of this wild hunt. What does that kind of sound like? Flying over the sky, hunting over people or things. Krampus also rides abroad in the evening. She is also, if we are thinking of her name being a bright light, we tend to have a lot of songs and stories associated with looking at the bright star in the sky, which could be Perchta's shining light. This is also associated with the Star of Bethlehem. You can see where this is all going here. So as you can see, there's a lot of interesting legend associated with Perchta that we see today, with just different names and different associations. Not only does Perchta and Hulda have a similarity to spinning, but Frigg from Norse mythology also is obsessed with domestic neatness, and she's really judgy about it, which is kind of where the story that we hear today of Perchta comes from. So what the legend is that you have to get all of your flax spun by the 12th night of Christmas. This does mostly apply to women or little girls, but there's also legends that talk about how everybody has to make sure that the house is clean, everything's neat, all before this time during Christmas. Now, can you imagine the anxiety during this period of time? Clearly, that hasn't gone away either. So if your house is a total mess and you failed to leave out a traditional bowl of porridge for her, you are kind of screwed. Frau Perchta is not going to be happy with you, and you look like you're super lazy, and lazy people get punished. So Perchta shows up at your house, just like Santa, just like Krampus, just like all of these wintertime beasts, and she looks into your house and just to see what it looks like. If you have done your chores, if you've spun your flax, if you've laid out porridge for her, then you are rewarded. The next day, you will find coins, usually in your shoe. But if you fail to do any of those tasks, if you look lazy at all, she is going to steal into your bedroom, and she's going to disembowel you and replace your guts with rocks and straw. How fun! I guess that's better than being on a naughty list and getting coal, but maybe there's an association right there with the coal. You don't want to mess with Frau Perchta, and maybe this is why we don't have her represented in any of our Christmas stories in North America. So here's some fun stuff. Why is she shown in my drawing as beautiful and not so pretty and maybe a little spooky? She has a dual nature. Usually she shows up at your doorstep looking quite beautiful. She has a both evil/ugly Perchta version and a pretty Perchtan version. So there's a mask that is worn during this period of time in the mountain regions of Austria specifically. They are called the Perchten. So that is the plural for Perchta, and that is the name of the animal masks that are worn in these parades. So in the 16th century, the Perchten took two forms. We had beautiful, bright Perchten, and then we also had the really creepy, ugly Perchten who had fangs, they had tusks, they had all kinds of like demonic/animalistic traits. And both of them have different representations, a significance there of either doing good, doing these things that you're supposed to do, not be lazy, take care of things, take care of your home, get your chores done, the things that you need to actually get done to participate. And also, like, if you don't, bad stuff will happen. There's some slight variations on the myth. For instance, sometimes when Perchta finds little children who have not woven their flax or done their chores, she will disembowel them, put rocks and straw inside of them, and also drop them in a well for them to just live there, I guess. Sometimes the stories are told that she steals children away if they've been bad and she lives in the mountains. There's so many different variations of what this entity may look like and what she actually does. There's also some arguments that Perchta is not necessarily a very old goddess like Hulda. Some believe that she is a entity that was created post-Christian era during this period of time where old German tribes were being introduced to Christianity. She may have not evolved from some older High German mythology, but really, who knows? You can still celebrate her in areas of Europe, which is very cool, and I highly recommend it if you get the opportunity. That's on my bucket list for sure. But hopefully this year you were good, and if you weren't good, you probably aren't listening or watching this because you probably were filled with rocks and straw. I love learning about wintertime deities from way back when because it seems like, and it reflects pretty well how we viewed the longer days of darkness versus now where we're buying things, we're gifting people, we're lighting up Christmas trees. It's still fairly bright and beautiful and glistening, so very different outlooks and both very interesting. So beware of Perchta during the holidays, along with Krampus, the Yule Cat. We have so many cool different wintertime myths, but over here in North America, we've got Santa Claus. So if you want to learn more about Perchta, make sure to check out the description down below. I have a ton of other links to guide you on your Perchta journey. If you enjoy my art, make sure to follow me on my socials. Those are listed down below in the description at Kaiti Draws. And if you love mythology and you love my art, make sure to give me a follow, comment, let me know what kind of myths you are looking for, and keep watching. There are a ton of amazing myths out there. I'll see you next time.